afternoon, everybody. Attention all quilt lovers. We are less than 6 hours away from the visit of nationally recognized expert Joe Cunningham. He'll be at the Dunedin Fine Art Center where he is going to rock the block. A musician, an author, a public speaker, he is the authority on quilting. He's been making quilts professionally for more than 30 years and published 11 books on techniques and the history of quilting, which makes him quite different. And we are delighted to have Mr. Cunningham in our studios today, and of course his host for the next 2 days, the Associate Executive Director of the Dunedin Fine Art Center, Mr. Ken Hannon. Thank you for coming in.
You're welcome.
Tell us about this wonderful man back here on this quilt. This is just so cool. Everyone in the studio is looking at it with the red hair. And how did you do that?
Well, a friend of mine, a young guy named Luke Haynes, he's a 30-year-old quilt maker, and we were at a show last year talking about each other's techniques. And I will often start a quilt without any idea what it's going to look like. I just start cutting and sewing, and then I find out what it looks like by making it. Luke makes portraits on quilts, so he'll make this quilted background, and then he'll put a portrait on the foreground.
Let me see. Where is your mic? We're also excited that your mic has fallen.
My mic has fallen.
Okay, that's okay. I'll lend you mine. Oh, there you go. Okay, so this redhead back here, how did you make him?
This redhead, we decided to challenge each other. I would make one of my friend Luke Haynes' styles of portraits, and he would make one of my improvised quilt styles. And so, well, it wasn't a competition, but I won. I made a Luke Haynes quilt. So what I wanted to do was a portrait of him. So this is my friend named Luke, and I took it from a photograph, and I just worked by looking at the photograph over there and then laying down these strips of bias tape.
I have to ask, do you make these quilts by hand or using a machine?
All of the lines I sewed on by machine, and then all of the quilting, you can see all these little shapes all over it, the embossed look, that's the quilting, and I did all that on this one by hand.
So you have a guitar here, and you've told me that you have a musical show. You combine the quilt, the box stitching, and all these great things with music. How do you do that?
Well, 250 years ago, there was a guy in England named Joe Headley, Joe the Quilter. Was his name. And when I read about Joe the Quilter, it inspired me to become a professional quilter. So eventually I wrote a musical about this guy's life, and I made some quilts in his style. And so I tell the story of his life and play the songs to tell the story. And before I started making quilts, I was a rock and roll guitar player.
That's therefore Rock the Block.
Rock the Block. That's the workshop I'm doing tomorrow, yeah.
Now, I understand you've been very difficult to bring to Tampa, very difficult to get. You're a busy guy. How many years, Ken, has it been?
It's been a couple of years, and we kind of tacked ourselves onto the end of Joe's spring schedule here to get him to Florida, which is a great opportunity. It works so well with the contemporary shows that we have at the Art Center now.
You all have 3 major quilt exhibits going on?
Three exhibits. We have the Quilt National Quilts, which is every other year from the Dairy Barn. They bring together just the finest in contemporary quilting. We have the IQ Quilters, which is a local guild that has done some fabulous work, and a lot of it's they've donated to support the Art Center. And then we have Betty Busby, who is just a phenomenal quilter from New Mexico. Yeah.
Okay, well, tonight you're doing your workshop, and tomorrow
Tonight I'm doing a concert, and I mean, it's a musical quilt show. There'll be lots of quilts tonight. Tomorrow's a workshop.
Tomorrow's a workshop. So here's the information on your screen if you would like to meet Mr. Joe Cunningham. Please visit the Dunedin Fine Art Center online for all the details, dfac.org.